Jared Knott is joining me. He's a historian and an author. You've heard of his books before, Tiny Blunders, Big Disasters. He's got 1 and 2 available on Amazon, where good books are sold or stolen. I guess sometimes they steal them.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, Jared's joining me on the live line. Hi, Jared.
Hello, how you doing? It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you. So Trump is expanding the Cuban sanctions. We're going to talk about whether the crackdown will work or backfire, but, I mean, Castro did kill 4 Americans, so we got to do something.
Yes, he did. Very clearly he was guilty, but I should point out that because the Castros were considered liberal or socialist or communist, whatever, they got kind of a pass from the liberal media.
Sure.
These 4 people were just a tiny fraction of the people that have been killed by their regime. At one point, the estimate was like 78,000, mostly people trying to escape Cuba, murdered by the Castro regime. They have their hands just dipped in blood. The 4 people killed in the airplane were well-publicized murders, but there have been many, many, many others, and there are people who wanted to leave Cuba who were shot and killed trying to escape.
Yeah, but they were Cubans. These guys were Americans.
Yeah, I think they may have been Cuban Americans, but but either way,
Still
we got
Americans.
a long list of people murdered by the Castros.
That's right. And you know what? It just seems like we have so many stupid people that think communism is the answer. We just haven't done it right. But if you look everywhere where it's still going on, people are looking at different places where communism is still a thing, and they think it's a good thing. That's crazy.
Yes, it is. China, for example, is not exactly communism or socialism. It's a kind of statism, which technically speaking is almost a kind of a fascism, where there's free enterprise is allowed to function, but it's very heavily controlled by the state. So they have a controlled kind of free enterprise. Same thing with Russia. They kind of a statism. It's a free enterprise that's kind of controlled by the state. But you look at New York, which is they're already $5.2 million in debt. They're talking about the city of New York. And because their taxation is driving people away. It's kind of a comical thing. About 2 months ago, Governor Hochul was saying that she wanted the wealthy people to move down to Miami Beach. They were leaving in many cases because the taxes were so high. She was saying, would you please come back? We need to be able to tax wealthy people to pay for our social welfare program. Well, okay, so I don't think very many people are going to say, gee, that's why we left in the first place, because of these ridiculously high taxes. They're driving businesses away. They're driving people away. It's failing in New York. It's going to continue to fail in New York. I think opened up 2 or 3 grocery stores, spent $30 million each getting them started. Some people say it should just cost $2 million. I mean, the whole thing has just been fumbled. It's going to fail there. It's failed in California. The blue states have people leaving in large numbers because the high taxes and the poor administration are driving businesses away, driving people away. It's failed in the states. It's failed in the countries.
We
of course,
fought
Cuba,
a war to get away from this kind of tyranny, and now our uneducated, ill-informed, and absolute brainwashed youth, even some adults who just never learned anything, are thinking that this is the way to go. And one person used China as a template for how we should be doing things. I don't think they know what's going on in China.
Well, the Wall Street Journal, I think, put it very well. They said people who think that socialism works apparently missed the last century. It just failed. It was failing in Cuba. It failed in Venezuela. It used to be a very prosperous country, Venezuela. Under the communist regime there, it went way to the south. It slid sideways very badly. Of course, Cuba is an example, and New York is an example. It's failed every place that it's been tried. And free enterprise, we're the largest, most prosperous country in the world, not based on socialism at all, but based on free enterprise and democracy. We have a shining example of huge success compared with failure after failure in terms of socialism. And it's strange that so many naive people, of course, the professors and the teachers in high schools and in colleges have been teaching socialism and you could make the argument that it's more fair.
It should be illegal.
But it's also more stupid. It's also, it fails over and over again. Free enterprise, there's a big debate years ago between Milton Friedman and Phil Donahue on this very subject. And Milton Friedman won that debate on television, and he made the point that free enterprise has created more prosperity and more jobs and more growth than any other kind of economic system
and more freedom
in history.
Yeah.
Yes, and more freedom.
Well,
more freedom,
Phil
right.
Donahue always creeped me out. He had those glasses that made me wonder about him, but I'm just saying. But the sanctions on Cuba, I honestly don't think they're going to do anything because Cuba is Cuba. And unless we go in and pluck out the bad guys like we're trying to do in Iran or like we did in Venezuela, which did work, by the way, nothing's changing.
Yes, it puts pressure on the regime, and it could very well be that at some point they send a strike force in and they capture Raul, I guess, and put him in a wheelchair, handcuff him to his wheelchair, I guess, and take him up to New York, maybe several other people.
Well, he needs to pay the price. He killed 4 Americans. We can't just let that slide anymore. We did that for 47 years with Iran, and now we got to settle the score, and we've got to stop them from killing more people, including their own. And Cuba is a blueprint of what's happening in Iran, just without the mullahs.
Yes, people, I think, only get 2 hours of electricity a day. The economy is just an absolute collapse and shambles. Yeah, they have one organization was in there that gathers up all the profits and takes it away from the Cuban people. Just an absolute failure, an absolute disaster. Now, you put more and more pressure on them, and they're a weak regime. It could be at some point, like I say, there's some kind of a strike to capture 4 or 5 people who are under indictment, and maybe they can collapse the way Venezuela did. So I think their days are numbered. That's going to be a relatively easy objective compared to our situation in Iran, which is complicated and difficult.
Right. Well, and I always crack up because countries the size of Rhode Island think that they're going to come at the United States and do damage. I'm like, seriously? You're like a toothpick. You're not going to do anything. And they think because they have a few missiles that, everyone in Florida is going to be against us. So the U.S. is going to back down. Florida will probably float over there on their own boats and take out Cuba. So they're not that big of a threat.
No, not at all. Cuba, again, very weak, a very minor threat. Unfortunately, we can't say the same thing about Iran with the nuclear program. But the Cuba, that's a relatively small issue. We're still dealing with the Iranian issue, which is kind of a tangled knot, but hopefully we're moving in the right direction.
We are. You got to remember, man, these guys aren't going to give up no matter what we say or do. And this ceasefire stuff and all of this, we're going to talk, it's never going to get anywhere because these guys don't understand diplomacy. They don't get it. They'll say whatever they have to say to get more time to build up their stockpiles, and then they'll come at you again. They're never going to talk. They're never going to agree. We're just going to have to handle them.
Yes, they're going to be forced into an agreement.
Yep.
They require military. I think it's going to require further military action and continued economic pressure because their economy is suffering greatly and they're not being able to pay their military. And it could be as each day passes, I think the pressure gets stronger and stronger. And so we may be able to force them against their will into some kind of resolution. Trump acts like there may be
they're not going to keep it. They're not going to keep it.
Yeah, they have to be forced into whatever comes out. It's going to be they're simply forced into it completely against their will. They think when they die they're going to heaven in a mansion with 72 virgins or some kind of nonsense.
Well,
like
they're only a virgin one time, and then they're not a virgin anymore. So you got 72 happy days. Congratulations, you're dead.
Well, okay, yeah, we left in office to fantasy land.
Yeah.
That's what these people believe.
Stupid.
They believe that's some kind of nonsense. It's very difficult to negotiate with those kind of people who almost want to die, being evil fanatics and unhinged, and just unlike dealing with the Chinese or North Koreans who are evil, but they're rational. These people are evil and totally irrational, so it makes it very, very difficult.
Well, and Cuba better dot its I's and cross its T's because we've got a president right now who's just, and a lot of people are like, he's a war president. They don't realize that he's actually stopped more conflicts than any other president during 2 terms just in his first year. Nobody gives him credit for that. But he's stopping nuclear war from happening all throughout the world, and everybody's crapping their pants. And I'm so tired of everybody coming down on Trump for every little thing he does. Trump derangement system is syndrome is real, and if he has to go get Cuba and Raul and roll him up the ramp, I'm fine with that, because this needs to happen. I don't think it'll backfire. I think the people of Cuba will sing until the next bad guy steps up and starts it all over again.
We're dancing in the streets of Venezuela because Maduro was gone. People in Cuba will be dancing in the streets given the opportunity if the same thing happens there. It could be a jewel of the Caribbean. I mean, beautiful beaches, excellent resort. Of course, at one point they had a large, I think, sugarcane industry. It could be a very prosperous nation. Many visitors coming in from Europe and the United States if they had good leadership instead of the suicidal leadership that they currently have.
All right. Well, I got to run. So, Tiny Blunders,
Big
Disasters 1 and 2. Make sure you get copies of the book. Jared Knott's been the guest. He's a historian, and he ain't wrong. Jared, thank you.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it.
Take
care. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.